Thanks for checking out my video presentation on wood grain simulation and guitar cosmetic repair. I'll describe the approach I'm using to replicate wood grain and share the methods and materials I use, with particular focus on a technique I've been applying recently that utilizes an inverted graining approach. The term inverted refers to the use of black as a base color. Typically, we might create black dots and lines to replicate graining. With the inverted approach, the grain markings are created using spray patterns of lighter colors on top of an opaque black base. We add additional grain lining using grain line markers and powder stain. For the purposes of this video, I won't assume any particular level of expertise of the viewer, so I'll be going into detail suitable for all levels of experience. I'll start with information about the materials, followed by instructions of how to create graining using the inverted approach. Please know that this is considered to be an advanced technique which will require practice before working on any guitar of value. You can see that the bench gets very crowded quickly, which is why I always place the guitar in my total vise. The bench is dedicated to the painting materials and tools, which also keeps the guitar safe from unwanted spills or bumps. Toners add color to the project. Here is a rundown of the levels of opacity, which refers to how much light the colors let through. The darkest and least transparent are the opaque types of toners. These include the black enamel Mohawk lacquer that I like to use. I also like Mohawk Tone Finish Toner, which is semi-transparent, and their Ultra Classic Toner, which is transparent. The other types of tints that I use include Blend All Powders, Mix All Universal Tint, and Trans Tint Liquid Stain. The first step is to seal your surface. For cosmetic repairs, I use Glue Boost Fill and Finish or West Systems Epoxy. After sealing, you'll be ready to start the color process. Here we will color the surface using black. I found the easiest way to do that is to use enamel lacquer. This lacquer is more opaque than most, so it builds color very quickly. When building color, it's important to use as little finish as possible. A thin finish gets better results. Once you've added the black, you'll begin that process of building color using aerosol toner. You can also use powder stain in the airbrush if desired. Aerosol cans are the best way to quickly and evenly add color. I prefer to use the semi-transparent Tone Finish toner for the lighter colors. The colors I prefer are amber and blonde, but you can try others if you prefer. The goal is to choose a color that closely matches the lightest shade on the finish of the guitar you're working on. Using those lighter colors, partially cover the black using short bursts in a mist spray pattern. Go slowly until the pattern begins to be mostly color with some black dots showing through. You'll begin adding additional color on top of that with transparent colors once you are happy with the graining pattern. When adding colors, go from lightest to darkest. For finishes that have a brown-based color, I usually try to start by getting the amount of brown that I want, followed by the colors that have more red. I use many different shades, and it'll take you some time to learn how to achieve desired colors if you don't already know how. Additional graining can be achieved once the first layer of lighter color is sprayed onto the black. Apply the powder stain directly to the surface using the cotton swab by dipping a dry cotton swab in the powder container and shaking off the excess. Then apply a light mist of 50/50 Mohawk Ultra Flow Ultra Bond with lacquer thinner using an airbrush. Apply only a mist from the airbrush. Keep the trigger at 50% or less. The powder just needs to be slightly wet. If your cotton swabs are getting moistened, you're applying the powder too early before the finish has become sufficiently cured. Be patient. The 50/50 airbrush mix dries very quickly within minutes. Continue adding layers until you are happy with the look. Grain-like patterns will form as dots with more dramatic effect if the powder is applied when the surface is still slightly tacky. Experiment with this technique using different dark colors for graining. The graining pens come in different colors. They work best when applied early in the process so they don't stand out too much. You will apply the darker layers of aerosol toner spray on top of the finish once you are happy with the graining pattern you've made. Remember, it's okay to use the powder stains to help correct color or to add color nuances. The powder will give you a cloudy look if used in larger amounts, so go very slowly and use it conservatively. Here are some examples of the graining process in various stages. In many guitar finishes that initially seem more of a brown color, you'll be surprised how much red is also in the finish. The common red shades that are used are typically a brick red or a clay red. The Mohawk line of products are great for guitar work because they are designed for furniture touch-up, so they are formulated for compatibility with most types of finishes and for maximum adherence. Another nice feature is that they don't require the surface to be stripped and completely refinished. Historically, touch-up in guitar work has been greatly complicated by finish compatibility problems. Mohawk tints have significantly reduced, if not eliminated, that problem in my experience. For graining, these sprays can work best when applied in small amounts gradually, using the mist spray pattern. Short bursts applied at a greater distance than normal. On the left, you can see how the red begins to appear more. On the right is the same piece of wood before red coloring was added. Grain replication was done with graining pens and with spray cans using the mist application approach. Short bursts at a distance of 12 inches to 18 inches from the piece. I'll add a few final ideas here, but if you aren't a shop owner, this last section might not be of interest to you. So I'll say thank you now. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I hope you have all found this video useful. Other shop owners often tell me that they refuse cosmetic work because it's not worth it, or that customers are inevitably unhappy with the results. I have found a formula and approach that works really well to address these aspects. I always make sure to be very clear in my description of the work. I have a cosmetic work info sheet that I give every customer that clearly states that the work will not restore the instrument to new condition and that the repair will not be factory fresh. I tell the customer that the work will be a vast improvement over the current condition of the guitar, but I'm very careful in my phrasing of how the results will look. Because I do this, I don't have to worry about negative customer reactions at the end of the job. I always make sure to let the customer decide if the job is worth doing. It's not unusual for cosmetic work to approach or exceed the monetary value of the guitar. There are other types of value in addition to the dollar value, so the decision is seldom purely about money. The other side of the question is whether it's worth doing on my end. Cosmetic work must be priced so that it is still profitable, just like any other job. Sometimes I'll price a job at a discount if there's another form of value to me to take the job, such as an opportunity to market the job or the shop, or the opportunity to try a new technique that would otherwise be difficult to practice within the shop on a beater guitar, which is usually how I practice these jobs. That concludes my presentation. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope the information comes in handy.